Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. Really appreciate you taking time this morning to learn more about our UCEAP program in St. Andrews. And with us here we have AJ Hager from the Global Office at the University of St. Andrews. He's based in St. Andrews. I'm based in Edinburgh, at the UCEAP Study Centre in Edinburgh. So we're both joining you in the evening our time, but we're really happy to explain to you a bit about the program and then make some time for questions at the end. So AJ, if you'd like to start sharing your presentation, that would be great.
Okay, I think we should be there. So as Ali was saying, my name is AJ Hager. I work for the university's global office as their inbound student mobility officer. So I manage our relationships with study abroad partners and providers, and I support the experience of students who are spending a semester or a year with us at St. Andrews. The global office itself is often one of the first ports of call for students who have joined us for a study abroad program, and for students who would like to undertake a study abroad program as well. And I'm very pleased to meet you this evening. So I thought I would start with a few rough details about St. Andrews as a bit of a summary. We are a mid-sized university, about 10,000 students in quite a small town. Actually, about 40% of the local population are students. So it's a very student-friendly and very student-populated town. We have quite a distinguished global reputation, including being ranked this year as #1 in the UK. We just overtook Oxford this year, which is very pleasing. We've been teaching since 1413. We're a research-led institution. We have a very broad range of nationalities of students that come in every year. And I think of our overall student population, something like 40–45% are international students. The application process for St. Andrews study abroad programs is actually very straightforward. We have an online system that you can fill in some straightforward information about who you are, why you'd like to attend the program, and upload your transcript, letters of recommendation. And we aim to get a response to you within usually about 10 to 12 working days. It is a rolling application program. So rather than waiting until the close of the period and then processing the applications, we'll run through each one as they come in. So it really pays to apply early. One of the, I think, most compelling reasons that makes St. Andrews stand out as a study abroad destination is that we actually guarantee housing for any incoming study abroad student who's arriving in September. And we usually have little to no problem accommodating students who are arriving in January. This current year, our university accommodation is under a lot of strain because of obviously global events recently. But we're still looking that we'll be able to accommodate everybody that's applied so far. Scotland itself is a very safe and very friendly country. St. Andrews within that is even more so, as I said, with such a higher proportion of the students of the population who are students. It makes for, I think, a very welcoming and very community-based experience. And we have very varied social life on offer for such a small town, with over 50 different sports and over 150 clubs and societies that are run through our Students' Association. One of the last things we always like to make sure people know is that we're on the coast of Scotland. And in fact, we are bordered on 3 sides by beaches. So it's, it's quite a spectacular place. So this is a little shot of St. Andrews from the main quad, and you can see in the background the cathedral ruins and then the North Sea out from there. In terms of exactly where St. Andrews is, we are something like 60 miles north of Edinburgh. And as you can see, we're within a couple of hours of most destinations across Europe. We have direct flights that leave from Edinburgh Airport to over 100 different international locations, and Glasgow Airport beyond that as well. In terms of what you'll actually be studying at St. Andrews, we have quite a range of subjects that are on offer. Our programs are broken down between 4 faculties, arts, science, divinity, and medicine. And as inbound study abroad students, you are eligible for all classes that the university offers in exactly the same way as a full degree program student would be, with the exception of classes through the Faculty of Medicine. In terms of our teaching process, we work on a system of large lectures, small tutorials, and lab work. We have, for most classes, a 12:1 student-staff ratio. That actually decreases slightly for our honors classes because they tend to be smaller and more specialized classes. And we would expect, depending on your particular selection of modules, between 12 and 24 class contact hours per week. One of the most important things to stress about St Andrews is that we are a university who has a very strong focus on independent learning with access to support from our academics. So what this means is that there is a high expectation of independent study and group work outside of your class contact times. You'll have the opportunity to put together reading groups, study groups with various members of your cohort in order to facilitate that. And we have a number of teaching and study spaces that are available in addition to other locations throughout the town. Your assessment is usually a mixture of continuous assessment, which might be class tests, essays, lab reports, and so on, and then more formal exams towards the end of the semester. Now, in terms of the sort of accommodation that's on offer in St Andrews, we can offer you a choice of 12 contemporary and traditional halls of residence. As I said before, your accommodation for semester 1 is guaranteed if your accommodation application is submitted before the 30th of June. And your accommodation application is extremely straightforward. You're given, in effect, 3 options to choose between: whether you would like a single room or a shared room, whether you would like an ensuite bathroom or to use shared bathroom facilities in the corridor, and whether you'd like a catered or a self-catered room. Our halls of residence are a mixture between what we term ancient halls, which tend to be in the center of town, and more modern halls, which are a little bit further outside the town. Now, when I say outside the town, it's important to keep, I think, a sense of scale in terms of St Andrews. The furthest accommodation that we have, I think, is about a 15-minute walk from the center of town. So we're not talking, extraordinary distances here. If you're interested in staying in one of the ancient halls, they tend to be perhaps a little more characterful in terms of their construction. But I think it's important to note that the rooms tend to be a little smaller. They will be primarily twin rooms, and they will be catered with shared bathrooms. If you're looking for single accommodation or an ensuite, then your best bet is probably going to be one of the more modern halls. When you come to submit your application, there will also be a short questionnaire included, and that'll cover a few really basic bits and pieces around your study habits, your general day-to-day routine, in order to try and make sure that, if you're someone who likes to get up early in the morning because you want to get to the gym before you start your classes, this is a way of avoiding matching you with someone who is more of a night owl and tries to get their work done much later on into the evening. So in terms of what general day-to-day life in St Andrews is like, our Students' Association is really the heart of our student experience. They do a great deal of activism work. They are a representative body for students. They also help facilitate over 150 clubs and societies, ranging from, there's a Doctor Who watching society. There is a Tunnocks Tea Cake Appreciation Society. Tunnocks Tea Cake is like a candy that's produced quite locally, and they, will meet up to share a cup of tea and a few candies together. They also have a lot of spaces that are available for hire if you want to put on any other activities of your own. And there are a great deal of opportunities to get involved with the association itself. As I'm sure you can imagine, for a 600-year-old institution, we have over time developed a lot of traditions that can be a little unique to St Andrews. Primarily, we're known for our academic families. So when you arrive, you'll be given an opportunity to be adopted, so to speak, by more senior students at the university who can take you out for a tea or coffee, talk to you about, particular either study spaces that they would recommend, classes that they've taken that they think might be of interest, where to get the best coffee in town, those sorts of things. Raisin Weekend and the Fame Fight is something else that you may have seen, which is an extremely old tradition the university has had. And throughout the year, there are a number of pier walks that are arranged after chapel through our chaplaincy, culminating later in the year with May Dip, which is where students who have committed what we would term academic sin, so perhaps wearing the gown in the wrong way, or walking over the initials of Patrick Hamilton in the center of town, various other bits and pieces, can absolve themselves of their sins by running into the North Sea at dawn on the 1st of May. It is quite a crazy evening and morning to witness. And we also have a number of torchlit processions that the chaplaincy organises as well. In terms of sports, we have over 50 sports on offer, over 100 competitive teams. We have a very recently refurbished sports centre with sector-leading facilities. Our sports clubs are extremely inclusive. They aim to provide people who have never tried the sport before a really welcoming environment to give a new sport or a new hobby a go, as well as having quite intense competitive teams that compete with other universities around Scotland and the UK. Another thing that's quite unusual for study abroad students, you are eligible to play for the varsity teams in St Andrews. There's no prohibition just because you're a study abroad student. As a study abroad student in St Andrews, you are considered a fully matriculated member of the community. So you have exactly the same access, not only to sport, but also to all of the other support services that the university offers. I think our next slide, we have a list of some of the sports clubs that we have, and you can see at least some of them like basketball, hockey, ultimate frisbee, or what we call our performance sports, where we have competitive teams competing against other British universities. In terms of advice and support that's available to you, we've actually had an award-winning student experience for several years now. We take great pride in trying to look after all of our students' personal well-being, their academic performance, their personal and professional development. And to that end, as I said before, as a study abroad student, you will have exactly the same access to those services as every other student in St Andrews. So we have a team of qualified counsellors, psychologists, psychotherapists who are available through our student services team. We have a number of academic support teams, both within schools and centrally within the university. And we have a professional skills unit that can help you with interview practice, CV skills, letter writing, all this sort of thing. We also have a wardenial service. Those are members of either professional staff or very often PhD students across the university who live in the halls of residence alongside other students, and they are available across the evenings and weekends. So I actually work as an assistant warden in one of our halls of residence. And our role primarily here is in terms of community building and as a point of emergency contact. So if you run into some sort of problem at 3 o'clock in the morning, whether that's something healthcare related, or you're just feeling homesick, or you're freaking out because you've got a deadline coming up and you're way behind in your work, there is someone you can call who can meet with you and discuss your situation, maybe sit down, have a cup of tea, and just make sure that things are heading in the right direction. And I think I'm now handing over to Ali.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. So why use UCEAP? Our programs are designed specifically for UC students. With hundreds of options available, you will find the perfect study abroad program to suit your needs. While on UCEAP, you remain enrolled in your UC campus, which means you do not need to take a leave of absence during your study abroad program, and your UC financial aid goes with you. Additionally, you are guaranteed that all of the courses you take abroad will receive UC credit. The next slide, please. Eligibility requirements. So the main thing to point out here is that St. Andrews actually has a minimum GPA requirement of 3.2. So it's just a little bit higher than our other partner universities in Scotland. It just kind of reflects the academic rigor of St. Andrews. Next slide. Next steps. So we hope this presentation has provided you with a starting point on your study abroad journey and encourage you to explore the UCEAP website for detailed information about program options, finances, health and safety, and more. You should visit your campus study abroad office website or the how to apply section on any program page on the UCEAP website for information on application steps and deadlines. Contact information for campus offices is also available through the QR code on this slide. We offer office hours where you can schedule an appointment to have a video call with a UCEAP advisor to talk about our programs in more detail. You will find the link to make an office hours appointment through the QR code as well. Once you have determined which program you're going to apply to, you can start an application by selecting the Apply Now button on the UCEAP website. Please feel free to contact us if you have questions. Our general email is on this slide. Thank you for attending this session. We'll now move on to Q&A. So please do go ahead and start putting your questions in the chat box. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Andre. So on this slide, we just have the campus deadlines for fall and spring for each of the UC undergraduate campuses, and also the email address for your home campus study abroad office.